Hello, everyone. My name is Yamira Garcia, and today I'm presenting my poster titled The Impact of Doula Support on Cesarean Delivery Rates. I chose this topic because of my own personal experience with a doula during my high-risk pregnancy. I carried twins during the COVID pandemic, which created an unusual and stressful set of circumstances. Like many families at that time, the hospital restrictions meant my doula was not allowed to be physically present during my labor. Instead, most of her support came either prenatally, helping me prepare mentally and emotionally, or virtually during the pregnancy. And while this is very different from the standard model of continuous in-person labor support that doulas typically provide, I still felt the impact of her guidance. Her emotional reassurance, explanations, and preparation techniques helped me feel more grounded and capable, even though she could not be in the delivery room with me. Experiencing that difference firsthand made me curious about the broader impact doulas have when they're able to participate in labor fully and without restrictions. I wanted to explore whether having a doula makes a measurable difference in birth outcomes, especially when looking at major interventions such as cesarean deliveries. This led me to my main research question. Does having a doula during labor reduce the rate of cesarean deliveries compared to those without doula support? Cesarean deliveries can be life-saving when medically necessary. I had one myself, but they also carry increased risks such as longer recovery times, higher complication rates, and higher healthcare costs. Because prior research suggests that continuous labor support reduces unnecessary intervention. I wanted to test whether the presence of a doula statistically lowers the likelihood of a cesarean. To explore this, I used data from a randomized controlled trial, which was conducted between 1988 and 1992. The study included 420 women, all with uncomplicated pregnancies from similar middle-class backgrounds. Each participant entered into the labor and delivery unit, and they were randomly assigned either to the control group receiving standard care or to the doula group, where a trained doula met them as soon as possible after assignment. This is important because randomization minimizes bias and ensures that differences in outcomes are more likely due to the intervention itself rather than outside factors. Out of the 420 participants, 224 were assigned to the doula group with a 13.4% Cesarean rate, equaling about 30 women, while 196 were in the control group with a 25% Cesarean rate, equaling about 49 women. Even visually, the difference in Cesarean rates is noticeable on the chart in my poster, but the question is whether the difference is statistically significant and not a random fluctuation. To check whether this difference was real or just random, I ran a two-portion z-test, basically a test that compares two percentages. My null hypothesis was doulas make no difference, while the alternative hypothesis was that doulas do make a difference. And the results showed a z-score of about negative 3.03 and a p-value of 0.0024. And the 95% confidence interval for the difference in proportions. Because the p-value is way below 0.05, that means the difference is statistically significant. So yes, the study shows that having a doula does reduce C-sections. The difference is also big in a practical sense. C-sections dropped from 25% to 13.4%, an 11% decrease, which is not small. So why I use the z-test instead of a chi-square test? You could use a chi-square test here too because we're comparing categories, but the z-test directly tells you how big the difference is and gives you the confidence interval. It's more straightforward when you're comparing two group proportions, so it made the most sense for this poster. The original study also noted some reasons why doulas might help lower intervention rates. It's less stressful for the birthing person. There's better sense of control, someone continuously present, unlike nurses or doctors who come in and out. Better communication happens between you and the medical team, and all these things can help labor progress naturally, which can reduce the need for Pitocin, forceps, or surgery. Even in my own pregnancy, despite all the limitations, the emotional stability my doula gave me was huge. Imagine having someone like that in the room the whole time. It makes it easier to see why Cesarean rates might drop. It's important to say also that this study is from the late 80s to early 90s, and maternity care has changed since then. Also, the participants were mostly middle class couples, so the results may not apply equally to all populations. But even with those limitations, more research continues to show similar trends. The doulas consistently help to improve birth outcomes. Another thing worth mentioning is that doulas are not accessible to everyone. Costs, lack of insurance coverage, and hospital rules can be barriers, and that matters because the people who face the biggest health disparities are often the same people who would benefit most from doula support. Studies like this help support expanding insurance coverage and hospital policies that make doulas more accessible. To summarize, the statistical test showed doula support significantly lowers the rate of Cesarean deliveries. It dropped from 25 to 13.4%, a meaningful drop both statistically and in real life. Even though this data is older, it aligns with what decades of research and even personal experiences show us that doulas can offer real benefits. Thank you so much for listening, and I'm happy to answer any questions.